some questions I'd like to ask you. If you don't hear me or if I'm not talking loud enough, please let me know. Okay? You're the owner of Gym Tech for Kids.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's your testimony, and I want to make sure that I heard you correctly, that you would always keep a mat, you'd build up the mats so that the child could reach the bars, correct?
Yes, unless it's a progression, then they can go up, or there could be progressions within the lesson plan, but there's always some type of mat underneath the bar.
Okay. And when you stack the mats up, it's so that the child can reach, standing up, can reach and hold on to the bar, correct?
It depends on the skill and the age of the child.
Okay, let's talk about children Layla's age. You would build it up so that they could reach the bar and hold on to it.
Yes, ma'am. So if it's an instructed lesson plan with us, then it typically is going to be where they can reach the bar. If there's always so the mats that are always down, the color block mats are always there, no matter what. So there's never going to be a bar placed on the concrete. There could be a lesson plan where the parent is able to lift, but their feet should not be hanging far from the mat, or even the square mats, the colored block mats that are down. The bars always remain on top of those mats.
And the child, therefore, should be able to stand and reach the bar.
They could stand and reach, or if it's a parent-assisted class, the parent could also pick them up and allow them to grip the bar.
And in that case, there would be more distance between them and the floor.
Shouldn't be any more than like a maybe 2-foot distance between.
Let me show you what I've marked as exhibits 127 and 128. If you would take a look at exhibits 127 and 128 and see if you can identify those pictures.
So that's like an actual instructor that is holding her up. So that's an instructor.
Tell us, first of all, identify the photo, and then we can show it to the
Oh
child.
yes, I identify the photo.
It's a photo of what?
My instructor holding a child.
Okay.
And then,
And number 128?
and that is a mat with a vault board up underneath the mat. And looks like she's assisting her down from the bar.
This time I would tender 127 and 128
No objection, no.
into the record and ask if I may publish. Tell us what we're seeing here.
So that's working on teaching the child to jump from a vault to reach to the bar. So that's a instructor assisting the child on that particular skill. So they would go up the incline of a vault and jump and try to reach to grip onto the bar, spotted by the instructors.
This here is the vault, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
There's no mat on the vault, is there?
Yes, it's a carpet padded. That's carpet padded. It's not solid wood.
But it's carpet padded, but there's no foam mattress on top of it, no foam mat on top of it, is there?
That's not a foam mat, but there is
Carpeting.
a thickness in it.
And the child cannot reach from,
On her own, no, but she's being assisted with an instructor.
if she were to fall, we're talking about 2 or 3 feet.
Well, the instructor wouldn't let her go to hang by herself. So she's not left alone by herself. If you went and dropped and her arms were actually hanging straight and her feet were hanging down towards the vault, you would only have a couple of feet between the vault and her actual feet.
And then you would have about 5 or 6 inches from the vault to the mat.
Yes,
that-
there's the vault and there's another mat up underneath the vault.
And number 128, tell us what we're seeing here.
It looks like she's about to prep to teach her to prep to go up and to teach her to reach and grip to the bar. Either that or she was bringing her down from the bar.
Ms. Matheson, on November 2nd, you say you saw Layla cried and tried to comfort her, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't notice any bruises or marks on her, did you, other than her broken leg?
Well, she had on, her cast completely covered her leg and she had on clothes, so no, not to my recognition. I don't remember seeing any additional bruises or anything.
I'm going to show you what I've marked as 126. And ask you if you can identify this photograph.
It's a child climbing up the steps.
Okay, thank you. At this time, Your Honor, I would tender 126 into the record and ask if it may be.
No objection.
Admitted to the officer.
I'm going to show you what I've marked as 124 and 125.
Let me just shut it down. I didn't see these.
Oh, I'm sorry. Show you what's been marked as 124 and 125. See if you can identify those by number, please.
What specifically are you asking me to identify?
What are these pictures of your gym? Are they pictures of somebody else's gym?
No, these are pictures of my facility.
Okay, and are they true and accurate copies of, do they truly and accurately represent your facility?
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, Your Honor, I would tender defendants exhibit 124 and 125 into the record.
State would object to 124, no objections to 125.
Your Honor, if I may, Coach.
I heard that the foundational response was that they truly and accurately represent the facility.
The state's objection is as to relevance to this particular case, Judge. I don't know what that particular picture represents that's relevant to the facts in this case.
Your Honor, this is no different than showing a video of children climbing up and down on apparatus. This is just a still photo.
All the 124 and 125.
Father. Your Honor, this time I'd ask if I could show it. About how old is this child?
The picture is kind of blurred, so I'm assuming maybe 3.
Okay. And is this an accurate reflection of something that transpired at your gym?
Yes, looks like a child training an Arab basque on a balance beam.
In 125,
And that child looks approximately 3 to possibly 4. And she could also be, looks like it's one of my more advanced students by her body position is in perfect form. So that looks like more of a advanced
3-year-old?
3 to 4-year-old doing a front support with straight legs, pointed toes, and a perfect arm position with a mat up underneath her.
Is this not in fact Allison Heath? Is this not in fact Lila Heath?
Her face is down, and I have about approximately 400 students plus in my facility, so I wouldn't be able to say specifically
Okay.
if that's Allison Heath.
Let me just have a moment here. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Oh, anything else?
Just a few questions. Ms. Matheson, defense exhibits number 127 and 128. To your knowledge, did Layla Daniel participate or involved, do any of these exercises at your gym on October the 19th of 2015?
No, ma'am. To my knowledge, I don't know of her, other than that she had inquired about doing a class. My office manager, Tricia, informed her that she needed to sign the waiver
I object
form.
to any testimony about what the office manager said to her.
Response?
I'll move on without telling me what someone else told you.
It was to my knowledge that she had inquired about doing a class. She was asked to fill out the waiver form. Later, when,
1 second.
okay,
When
Your
you
Honor, I
objection,
would
you have
object
to
as to
stop.
what it calls for her to testify as to what somebody else told her, where she got her knowledge from.
I'll ask it a different way.
All right.
Did you ever observe Layla Daniel doing the activities that are depicted in defense exhibits 127 and 128?
no, I never observed Layla doing any class.
What about in defense 126?
I never observed her doing that either.
Defense 125?
I
Did you ever
never,
observe Layla Daniel doing any of that at your gym?
no, I did not.
And defense 124?
No, I did not.
To your knowledge, did Layla Daniel participate or be enrolled in any classes at Gym Tech?
She was not enrolled in any class at Gym Tech.
Thank you, nothing further.
Isn't it in fact true, Ms. Matheson, that she took a trial class?
She did not sign up for a trial class, nor did she sign a waiver to participate in a trial class.
But you don't know that she didn't take a trial class?
My coach informed me that the parent,
Objection to what somebody else told you.
Well, Judge, she asked the question. I think she should be allowed to answer.
Overruled.
my coach informed me that the parent or guardian took her out on the floor for approximately 2 rotations, and the child continued to cry, and she took her off, saying, I don't think she's going to do it. But she never signed up for the trial and never turned in a waiver to participate in a trial class.
But she did participate in 2 rounds of a trial class, didn't she?
According to my coach, the parent took her out on the floor.
Thank you.
Those 2 rounds that she participated in, did it involve the beam, the bar, or involved?
To my knowledge, no, it was only a forward roll station.
Thank you, nothing further.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You can step down.
Thank you.
Any objection to this witness being dismissed?
None from the state, Your Honor.
All right, and yours. The state will call us next witness.
State calls Kathryn Brown.
Right through that gate, all the way through the gate. Okay, we're going to go around this way. Make your way to the witness stand. Thank you.
I'm sorry, no, I asked for Kathryn Brown. Yeah, you can step out, Ms. McKee.
Okay. Right here, please.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please lower your hand. You can have a seat. Can you please state your first and last name and spell it, please?
Kathryn Brown, Kathryn, Brown, Brown.
Ms. Brown, how are you employed?
I'm a crime scene technician for Henry County Police Department.
And how long have you been a crime scene technician for Henry County Police Department?
For Henry County since 2010. Prior to that, I worked in DeKalb County from 2005.
And what are your duties as a crime scene tech?
Our unit is not like on television. We are not detectives. We are civilian personnel. And our duties are different depending on each scene, but they do include everything from photography, videos, sketching, collecting and processing for latent prints, the examination of latent prints, blood pattern analysis.
Anything else you do?
We do a lot. Let's see. We run APHIS and ULW, which are systems that are used to identify fingerprints within the lab, and we collect a lot of data, but we are not detectives. We do not do the interviews or the arrests.
At some point, did you become involved in the case of the state of Georgia versus Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum?
Yes, I did.
And how did you become involved in that case?
On November 24th, 2015, I was requested to go with Detective Witt for a follow-up.
And where did you have to go with Detective Witt?
175 Kendra Drive in McDonough, Georgia, gymnastics facility.
And do you know what was the purpose of you going to that gymnastics facility?
To document the appearance of the facility, to examine the equipment, and look at the area where the toddlers played or took classes.
And I'm showing what's been marked as State's Exhibit 198 to 212. If you could flip through those and let me know if you recognize them.
Yes, I recognize them.
And do they fairly and accurately depict what you saw when you went out to the gym location?
Yes, ma'am.
State would ask the States 198 through 212 be admitted into evidence.
Yes, no objection.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States number 198. And if you could please describe what we're looking at in States 198.
All right, so we photographed the general appearance of the gymnastics area, and we also took photographs of the equipment that was used for the toddlers. And we took photographs with scales as well, so you could see the size and the distance off the ground of the items.
And which equipment are we looking at here? Which?
This is a beam that's used for kids. It's about that high off the ground. It's basically just a long board that kids learn to walk and balance on.
What measurement are you taking in States 198?
It is 4 inches wide,
And what part of the beam is that?
the top.
And States number 199?
Okay, this would be another small beam, and the distance from the ground is 18 inches off of the ground.
In States Exhibit number 200?
Okay, another portion of the area, you can see the connected mats and other pads that they play on.
In States 201?
A little tight slide.
In States 202?
The distance to the top of the slide.
And what was that distance?
Let me look at my smaller one, see if I can, the one up close, if I may,
Oh, yeah.
or the actual
No,
photograph.
I have it. You want me to bring it up to you?
Yes,
so you can
please.
see it?
Thank you. Okay. So to the top of the blue area, that's about 36 inches right there. Thank you.
In States Exhibit 203?
Another photograph showing the general appearance of the room.
In States 204?
This is one of the bars that they had there.
And what appears to be underneath that bar?
Those are all pads.
States 205?
That's showing the width of the bar itself,
And what was that?
1.5.
In States 206? And if I need to bring it to you to see the measurement, I can.
If you would, please. Thank you,
And what
ma'am.
were you measuring in this?
Just the distance from the bar to the ground. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So it's about 3 foot 5 inches to the very top of the bar from the ground. And this is an adjustable bar too, so it could be lowered as well. But we photographed it in the position it was when we got there.
In States Exhibit 207, what are we looking at here?
The width of the base at the bottom of that,
And States Exhibit 208.
that's just simply showing mats again underneath the equipment.
And States 210. Is this the same bar or of another bar?
I believe this is the same bar.
So it's State 204. Would that be the same bar as in
Oh,
State
no, that's,
209?
my apologies, that's a different one. The mats are clearly different.
And I'm gonna come a little bit closer so you can look at the measurements, because I know it's difficult to see from there.
Thank you, ma'am. Looks like it's 3 foot 2 inches to the very top of the bar from the ground.
In States Exhibit 209. I'm sorry, 210. What are we looking at there?
It looks like she's taking a measurement on the top
And in States 211.
and 1.5 inches approximately.
And States Exhibit 212, and I'll probably have to bring it up so you can
Yes,
see that.
and that would be the bar underneath it again, just the, thank you. Looks like that's approximately 1.5 inches as well.
Thank you. Nothing further this time. Sorry.
You came to Jim Tech and photographed what you saw, correct?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
You photographed what you saw,
I photographed the general appearance of the toddler area.
but it's what you saw, correct? You didn't set it up.
That's correct, ma'am. It is how it was appeared when we arrived.
And in fact, the balance beam can be raised or lowered, isn't that true?
I'm not aware that the balance beam, the bars can.
You don't know whether the balance beam can or can't.
If you would like to enter, there's an image of the balance beam. There's a scale on it. We may be able to see if there's any kind of adjustments on it because you can see the metal portion below the beam.
If the owners testified that they can be raised and lowered, would that satisfy you that it could be raised and lowered?
I'm not aware of their testimony, ma'am. If you'd like to enter the photograph, we can certainly take a look at it.
Do you have the photograph?
I do.
Okay.
Would you like it?
Yes, please.
There you go.
Let me show you what I would mark as Defense Exhibit 129. Ask you what that shows.
It shows one of the low beams that is approximately 18.5 inches off of the ground. And then you can see some of the support structure underneath it and the safety mats below it.
And is there anything definitive in this picture that shows whether it can be raised or lowered?
Not that I can see, ma'am.
Thank you.
So it appears to be stationary.
Nothing further. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, then this witness be excused.
Yes, that was yesterday.
Thank you. Thank you.
State will call next witness.
State calls Sara McKee.
I missed the last name.
McKee.
McKee. Sara McKee.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth and the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please lower your hand and state and spell your first and last name.
Sara McKee, SaraMcKee.
And Ms. McKee, I'll ask you to make sure you keep your voice up so everyone can hear you. And Ms. McKee, are you familiar with Gym Tech?
Yes, ma'am.
And how are you familiar with Gym Tech?
My daughter Macy was enrolled at Gym Tech.
And when was it that your daughter Macy was enrolled in Gym Tech?
We started in, I think it was October of 2015, and we, maybe a couple of months ago, stopped going. But
And how old was Macy in 2015?
she was, I guess, 4 at the time.
In the class that, what type of class was she attending at Gym Tech?
Just a pre-K gymnastics class.
And were there any other children involved in that class?
Yes, there was just one other child.
And do you recall who that child was?
Yes, her name was Millie.
And do you recall who would bring Millie to that class?
Her mother, Jennifer.
And when you say Jennifer, are you speaking of Jennifer Rosenbaum?
Yes.
And had you met Jennifer Rosenbaum prior to your daughter attending Gym Tech?
No, ma'am.
What days would your daughter have class?
I think it was on Mondays, Monday afternoons.
And was Millie always in the class with your daughter once she started in October?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ever have any conversation with Jennifer Rosenbaum during, let me ask you first of all, while your daughter was in class, where would you be?
We would sit on a bench right in front of the class, maybe just a few feet away, a bench that was attached to the wall for parents to sit.
And would you be able to go onto the floor at all?
If,
while your daughter was in class?
if necessary, I didn't, but if I needed to, for some reason, I could have.
And prior to your daughter signing up for the class, did you have to fill out any paperwork or do anything?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you recall having to fill out?
I'm sure it was our address information, probably any sort of questions about allergies or just information about my child, or I can't really remember, but I'm sure just a standard form of just basic information, things they may need to know.
Do you recall if you had to fill out any waivers?
Absolutely.
And when did you fill out that waiver?
I think immediately, whenever we signed up for the gym, I'm sure I had to sign a waiver before she was allowed to participate in anything.
And I'm showing what's already been introduced into evidence, State's Exhibit number 194. You can look behind you.
Okay.
Do you recognize that area?
Yes.
And what is that?
Just a parent waiting area.
Okay. Is that what you were describing when you said where you would be at during class?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ever observe Jennifer Rosenbaum during those classes?
Yes, ma'am.
And where would she be?
We would normally sit together.
And would there be anyone else with you or Miss Rosenbaum?
Not normally. She had her other little girl with her,
Okay. And do you recall that other little girl's name?
Layla.
Okay. And what would Layla be doing while the girls were in class?
She would lay on the bench the entire time.
Did you ever see her out on the mats or participating in any class during the time you were there?
No.
Did you ever see her up walking around or running around the gym on equipment when class was not going on?
No.
Did you ever observe her out on the mats with Jennifer Rosenbaum playing on any of the equipment?
No, ma'am.
What would Layla's demeanor be during the time that the class was going on?
She seemed very maybe sleepy. Not like your typical child, I guess. Not rambunctious, not energetic, very tired maybe. She would just lay down.
Did you ever mention her demeanor to the defendant, Jennifer Rosenbaum?
I did. I was, I guess, curious because it seemed peculiar to me. My daughter only being a few years older, I thought it was bizarre that she was so calm and kind of quiet. So I think I did ask her, was everything okay?
And did she respond to you?
She did. She explained that, I think at first she said, oh, she's always like this. She's just, I can take her anywhere. She's very calm and quiet. And yes, so.
Do you recall her telling you anything else about Layla?
Yes.
And let me ask you, was this the first time you had met Ms. Rosenbaum when you had this conversation, or sometime later?
It's hard for me to remember. I don't remember if it was the first time or if it was the second time, but she did go into a little bit more detail kind of about her demeanor. I think I may have asked her again, I was just curious why she was so calm and quiet.
I would object to her feelings and that she was curious or not curious and saying she observed.
I think she can talk about her own feelings, Your Honor.
Overall,
And would you ever have any conversation outside of Gym Tech with Jennifer Rosenbaum?
No.
And you stated that you were curious about Layla's demeanor.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you further inquire about her demeanor?
I did.
And who did you ask about her demeanor?
I asked Jennifer.
And what did she tell you?
She said that she, I guess, described her behavior being that way because she was in an abusive home and that they were actually fostering to adopt her. So that it explained, I guess, her odd behavior.
Did you ever talk to Jennifer about Millie?
Well, very little. I did ask her at one point, why would she adopt a child who had been through so much when she already had a daughter of her own?
And what was her response to you?
She said that she had spent $25,000 on in vitro and that she didn't have $25,000 laying around to have more kids, and she didn't want Millie to be by herself.
So were you under the impression as to whether or not Millie was adopted, a foster child, or her biological child?
That it was her biological child.
And you indicated that you asked her after everything that Layla had gone, a child who had gone through this. What was your understanding as to what Layla had gone through?
From what she explained, that Layla had been very terribly abused by her biological mother and I think boyfriend, maybe. I don't really remember, but that she had gone through some trauma and came from a really abusive home.
When you would see Layla, you said that she would lay on the bench. Did you ever see Layla walking around while she was at the gym?
No.
Did you have any other conversation with Jennifer while you would be at the gym?
We talked about mom stuff, just small talk about different things. I think I asked her if they were going trick-or-treating, and we talked about stuff like that, but we did talk extensively. The class was an hour long, so we would talk the entire class each time.
Would she share anything with you about herself personally, Jennifer Rosenbaum?
Yes, ma'am. She told me just basic things, that she was an attorney and probably where she lived, or the area.
Probably, if she doesn't know,
sustained.
Anything else you can recall besides her telling you that she was an attorney?
We talked about discipline a little bit. She said that it seemed like she's very strict on her children. She said that we were actually talking about Halloween, and I asked if they would go trick-or-treating, and I made the comment that I didn't really like to give my kid candy because it would make her really hyper, and I can't exactly remember how the conversation went, but she did say something about how she made the girls run stairs, or run laps if they, I guess, misbehaved.
Did she tell you any other forms of discipline she would use?
I think that was all.
About how many classes do you recall attending, Millie attending and Macy attending?
I think it was maybe 4 or 5-ish, I think.
Did you ever observe any injuries or bruising on Millie at all?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I'm sorry?
Can you tell me about that and when it was?
Yes, ma'am. I don't exactly remember when. It seems like it would have been a few times after me meeting them. Millie had a bruise on her face, on her cheek, on her cheekbone area. And, yeah.
Did you inquire about that bruise with anyone, to Jennifer or to Millie at all?
I'm trying to remember. Someone asked Millie what happened, and Millie just sort of paused and said that she fell. But she took a moment, and I noticed that she just looked right at Jennifer and paused, and then she finally said, "Yes, I fell."
And so was Jennifer present when you asked her about her face?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the only time you noticed a bruise on Millie?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to back up for just a moment. When the defendant, Jennifer Rosenbaum, was telling you about Layla's history with the biological parents, did she give you any more information about whether her relationship with the biological parent?
Yes, ma'am. She stated that she was friends with she knew the biological mother, that they were in foster care together as children.
And how did she describe their relationship, if at all?
I don't think they had a relationship at all, but she definitely did not like her, from what I gathered. She did not say, she just said that it wasn't good. She wasn't a good mom.
Would Layla be present at all the classes that Millie attended when you were there?
I think so. I think all but maybe one.
Okay. And that one time, did you have any discussion with Jennifer about Layla's absence?
Yes, I did actually. I asked her, where was she, and she said that, I think she said she was with her dad, that she was having a difficult time potty training her, and seemed very, I guess, irritated about, like she kind of had enough or was frustrated with her, so that she wanted her dad to deal with her.
Do you recall which class that was? Was it first class or the last class?
It might have been in the middle. It definitely wasn't the first class.
At any point in time, did you observe any injuries on Layla?
Yes.
Can you tell me, if you can recall, when that was?
I think it was either the first or second time that I saw Layla. It must have been the second time, because she was laying on the bench, and my daughter had a little stuffed animal, and she asked Layla if she wanted to hold it while she, had her class, and she slid off the bench to, I guess, look at the little stuffed animal, and her shirt came up a little bit, and I could see all over her stomach, like bruising or red marks. Something was definitely wrong. Definitely had injury to her stomach.
And what part of the stomach was it that you saw?
It was kind of lower abdomen area, I think. I'm not really sure, but I want to say like maybe around her belly button and below.
And when you saw that redness, what did you do?
I know that I gasped, and I said, "Oh my gosh, what happened to her?"
Who were you asking that to?
Jennifer. And I was very concerned, and I think anybody would be. And I said, "Oh my gosh, is she okay? What happened?" And she proceeded to tell me that she had been abused terribly by the mother, that it went into detail about just very disturbing things that had been done, that she had been burned with really hot water. And, you know, so that obviously something had happened, but yeah, I don't know.
So I want to make sure I understand you. She told you that Layla had been burned with hot water?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she go into any other details about any other types of abuse that she had received?
She said that, very disturbing. She said that the mother, or I guess the mother and maybe the boyfriend, I can't really remember, because she did, anyway, she said that they would make Layla eat her poop when they changed her diaper, and if she wouldn't, she would pour boiling hot water on her abdomen and on her private parts.
Did she tell you anything else about the abuse that she believed Layla sustained by her biological parents?
I don't recall. I know that she said that she had a really hard time, like, changing her diapers and stuff like that after that, and that was why. No, I don't think that she said anything else about any other type of abuse.
At any point, did she tell you how long Layla had been in her care at that time?
No, I don't think she ever told me how long she had her.
During the time you were at Gym Tech, did you ever observe Layla doing a trial class or on the mats or participating in any way in the gymnastics that was going on?
No.
To your knowledge, did Layla ever participate in a trial class?
It seems like there was a time, I don't know if it was like right before we got to class one day, if it was prior to one of the classes, maybe a few minutes before, or if it was on a different day, but I know that when we came into the gym for our class, that there was, I remember Jennifer talking about how, maybe talking with one of the teachers about Layla, they were trying to get her to do one of the classes, and she couldn't do it. She was crying the whole time, and she could not do the trial class, that she did not finish it, or I don't know how long they were trying to do it, but she was upset, and she couldn't do it.
Did you ever talk to Jennifer about Layla trying to do the trial class?
I don't recall asking her any questions about it, but I know that there was a little bit of a discussion. It was almost as if she was kind of just thinking out loud, maybe talking, saying that that maybe it was her leg bothering her, and maybe that's why she couldn't do it. And she mentioned several times that her leg that it had bothered her, I guess, for a couple days, that she knew that the girls were outside doing gymnastics at home in the front yard, and that Layla had fallen, and that she wondered if maybe she had hurt her leg there.
Did you say anything to her about that statement that she made about Layla's leg already hurting?
I believe so. I believe I asked her, you know, are you going to take her to urgent care or take her somewhere?
Do you know if you made that statement to Ms. Rosenbaum?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And what was her response?
She said that, I can't remember verbatim, but she seemed very frustrated and did not want to do that. She made several comments about how she didn't like taking her to the doctor because they asked so many questions, that she always had to answer questions about the mom's abuse, and that she didn't like going.
Did you have any response to those statements?
No, other than just me saying, well, are you going to take her? I mean, but no.
Did you observe Layla that day?
I mean, I noticed that she was there. I don't know. I don't remember anything specific, but she was there.
And when was the next time that you saw Jennifer Rosenbaum and Layla after that discussion?
I think it would have been in the next class, so like the following Monday.
And what did you observe, if anything, about Layla in that next class?
She did, in fact, have a cast on her leg.
Did you ask or inquire about the cast on her leg?
I don't think so. I think I just thought, okay, that makes sense.
Did Ms. Rosenbaum ever make mention to you about how she had hurt her leg to have a cast on it?
No, not anything other than just that she had fallen, or she thought maybe she just fell in the front yard, and that's when it happened. Or she did say that she did fall in the front yard, and she was assuming that's when she hurt her leg.
Did she ever tell you that she had fallen at gymnastics?
No,
Did she ever tell you that she had fallen off of a beam at Gym Tech
no,
or a bar at Gym Tech?
no,
Had you ever observed Layla on a beam or a bar or a vault at Gym Tech?
no.
After you saw Layla with the cast on, did Millie continue to come to class?
I think she did. I don't know how many times it was after that, but she did.
And I think I asked you before about observing a bruise on Millie. Was that before Layla had the cast on or after that you saw that bruise to Millie's face?
I really don't recall. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. After they came to class and Layla had the cast on, did Millie continue to come to class?
Well, I think, I don't remember how many times after that it was. Obviously, I would have seen her at a class if I saw Layla's cast. I don't remember if it was one time after that or if that was the last time. It doesn't seem like it was the last time, no. She would have had to have come to class again after that. Because I remember seeing Jennifer another time, and it was the last time I saw her.
And tell me about that last time you saw her.
Just that she was there, and she had a friend with her, and we didn't really speak that time. I just figured she, was with a friend, and then that was the last time I saw her.
Okay. And you mentioned that the defendant, Jennifer Rosenbaum, indicated that Layla had been abused by her biological parents. Did she ever mention anything about abuse by prior foster parents?
No.
Your daughter, Macy, how long did she continue to take gymnastics?
For a few years after.
Has she ever had any injuries as a result of taking gymnastics?
No.
Was she ever injured while she was at Gym Tech?
No.
At some point, did you learn about the death of Layla Daniel?
I did, eventually. I didn't know for a little while. I didn't know. In fact, I had asked one of the ladies there, if what was going on. I hadn't seen her in a while, and she didn't say anything, but eventually I found out.
How did you find out?
I saw it on TV.
Okay. And what did you do when you saw it on the TV?
I was just very surprised, I guess, or very, I think anybody would be shocked, but it very disturbing.
Did you ever speak to the police about your interactions with the defendant, Jennifer Rosenbaum, at
Yes.
Gym Tech?
Yes.
Do you recall when that was?
It was a little while after. I don't remember. It might have been like a month or so, maybe a little bit longer, before I spoke with anyone.
And how did you end up speaking with the police about your interactions with the defendant?
I felt like I had a moral responsibility to speak to someone because I felt like the things that we had discussed were not true, and it was bothering me really bad.
And what did you do at that point?
I spoke with a detective. I went and met with him and gave a statement on the things that I did know.
And were those the things that you shared with us today?
Yes, ma'am.
During that interaction with the detective, did you tell him about the injuries that you saw to Layla?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recognize State's Exhibit 213?
Yes.
And how are you able to recognize it?
It was something that he had drawn or written in front of me and asked me to look at it.
I'd ask that State's Exhibit 213 be admitted into evidence.
Admitted.
And can you tell us what we're looking at here in State's Exhibit 213?
It would have just been a sketch for us to both understand where I had described the seeing an injury to her abdomen area. I think he wanted to know a better idea of exactly, so he drew a picture, and we agreed that was the same place.
And so the arrow that's pointing that says injuries, was that drawn to indicate the area where you saw the injury?
Yes, ma'am.
And State's Exhibit number 45, is that consistent with where you saw the injury on Layla?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Cross.
In your statement to police, you said you saw a scar on the child's abdomen. Isn't that true?
I wasn't exactly sure what it was, to be honest. I saw redness and
Let
it
me
looked
see
like.
if this would help refresh your recollection as to what you told the police.
I've read it. I know what it says.
And what does it say?
Let's see. I was able to see scars on her lower abdomen.
Nothing about redness, right?
Right. Not
Nothing
on that
about
statement.
Bruises, right? Anything about bruises or redness?
Not on that paper, no.
Now, you went to see the detective yourself. They didn't come to you, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You volunteered that on January 22nd, 2016, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were friends with Layla's great aunt, isn't that correct?
No, we're not friends.
But you are Facebook friends, aren't you?
I mean, I recognized her name from something, and I reached out to her and asked her if there was someone that I could speak to. I did not tell her any details. We never talked personal information. I just said, you know, I had some things I wanted to share with someone. Could she point me in the right direction? And I do not know her. We're not friends by any means.
So you would deny that you're friends with her on Facebook, where you comment on what she says and what you say to her?
Since we've been friends on Facebook, we've friended each other. On her personal Facebook page, if she posts a Bible scripture that I think is nice, I may comment and say that's nice, but we've never had coffee.
In fact, you're a member of Justice for Layla, aren't you, of the website Justice for Layla?
I may be. I'm not really on social media very often.
Let me see if this
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 15-minute break and then come back.